Welcome back to the Before I Go podcast. I'm still here. Woohoo! I'm going to share probably a short one with you today. So, very cool stuff on the power of visualization or mental rehearsal. And the reason I want to talk about mental rehearsal and visualization is that I was really proud that I just got visualization out cleanly. I'm not going to lie. Anyway, I'm going to call it mental rehearsal so I don't have to keep focusing on getting that word out. The reason why I am pumped for mental rehearsal, I have mentioned this before when one of the first seminars I ever took looked at 4 habits that the Navy SEALs have when they're in highly stressful situations, like under gunfire. But they use mental rehearsal and presencing techniques to be able to move through pretty challenging situations. But it's powerful. Right? What you create in your mind becomes what you experience in your body, and that turns into your actions. So the last episode I talked about we become what we believe, and feel free to have a listen to that if you want a little more depth into the power of the mind, or the mind-body connection. Brilliant stuff that's emerging in there that we've known for millennia or millions of years, and science is now just starting to prove. So when we talk about mental rehearsal, the Navy SEALs use it. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. But also in the book that I'm endorsing as well, which is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. And I've heard of similar case studies before. He talks about a study that occurred in 1992 where they had a cohort of people and 3 different groups, and the scientists we're keen to understand whether rehearsing something in your mind and allowing the imagined experience of that could actually change your ability to perform the action in real life. So they did this with finger strength or grip tests. They got 3 buckets of people together, and the first was a control group who did nothing, and the request was to do 4 sessions over 4 weeks or something to that effect of at least an hour of hand strength training. So let's just call it a month worth of activity. So the first group did nothing at all for a month. The second group got out their hand grip trainers and did the strengthening of their left hand and made sure that their fingers were performing for an hour a day for 4 or 5 weeks. And so they actually did the exercise. And then they had a third group who were asked to spend the same amount of time as that second group that were doing the physical exercises. But rather than doing the physical exercises, this group was simply going to embody and imagine and believe that they could do those exercises and allow the feeling of accomplishment to flow through their body. So they literally imagined themselves doing the hand strengthening exercises for an hour for a 4-week period. And then came the results, which were really cool. And this has been proven over and over again with things like bicep strength, basketball free throw shooting. So here were the results. The first group who did nothing for a month, at the end of the month, they could still do nothing just as effectively. So their hand grip strength hadn't changed, right? They were what they are, and that is very logical, right? No input, no change in input, no change in output, relatively speaking. The group that did the hand strengthening exercises many times a week for a month or so, at the end of that period of time for the testing, came out with a 30% improvement in their finger strength and their grip strength. So a 30% increase for a month's worth of effort, hour a day. Then came the group that did the mental rehearsal, the visualizers, and they blew scientists away because they came out when they did the actual hands-on strength training and did the test. They came out with a 22% increase in their hand strength just from imagining and embodying the feelings and projected imagery of themselves doing the exercises. Woo! Isn't that amazing? Basically no change for the control group, a 30% improvement for those who physically practice it day in, day out for a month, and a 22% increase for those who just let the power of the mind and their beliefs seep into their very being in their body. So I tried it the other day. Not the hand grip strength. My son is doing Rubik's cubing and he loves it. He's just bought himself a fancy new cube. And so he's been doing it, and he was actually given a challenge by a podiatrist that we saw that said, hey, if you can do a Rubik's cube in under a minute, I'll give you, I think it was $50. So that podiatrist must be raking it in to make that sort of bet with a then 10-year-old. My son's 13 now, and so he turned up with this Rubik's cube, and I was like, okay, do you think that you're going to be able to get under a minute? And you could see him doubting himself and wasn't quite sure. I said, okay, I'm going to set a timer, right? Don't sweat, just do it. And, you know, I got the timer out on the phone and went bang, start, and off he goes. And in the first 10 seconds, he's like, no, I stuffed it, right? And I said, keep going, right? Just stay on it, have a crack, see what comes out. See how your training's gone. And so he battled away with this Rubik's cube and, you know, said a few things where I could hear him mentally setting himself off the trajectory of success. Nonetheless, he said, stop. And I pressed the stop button. And it turns out that he got 59 point, I think it was 8 seconds. So he snuck in by 200th of a second. And that's after many, many weeks of learning new techniques to do the Rubik's Cube at school. So he broke the minute mark and we celebrated. It was like, yeah, look, you hung in there, you did it. That was cool. And then I said, hey, just a minute. And I took him through the visualization technique. And so I said, you know, close your eyes. So we're just going to do it again. And I said, before you do this, right, before you have another attempt, I just want you to imagine that you're at the end of it, right? And you've done your best ever attempt. And I want you to imagine how that would feel in your body and the emotions you'd be having. His eyes were shut and I saw a big smile appear on his face and I was like, okay, he's in the zone. I said, when we go into it and he's still had his eyes shut, I said, when we have an attempt this time, if the voices start up in your head, just let them go. You know, you're going to focus and you're ready. You've done the training, right? Just let your body and your mind do what it needs to do and imagine how it's going to feel. Be there at the end of it, right? See your hands spinning the cube. So I did this with him for just a minute or two and got him in the zone. And then I said, okay, open your eyes. You ready? And then I said, go. And this fury and flurry of activity was going on. He was doing it. And he was doing the Rubik's cubing. And then he said, stop. And I pressed the pause button. And I said, how do you think you went? And he said, nah, I think it was over a minute. So I turned the phone around and I showed him. And he'd done the Rubik's Cube in 45 seconds. It's like, whoa. And he was blown away. And I was blown away. And my wife was blown away. And it must have been very windy because everyone was blown away that day. But it was amazing, right? Here's a kid who'd never gone under a minute. And then he'd battled away and just snuck it in after weeks of practice, which was a success in itself for him. However, he visualized exactly what it would be like to feel that, to be the person in the future that he wished he was now. And the body responded, and the mind responded, and the heart created that. And all of a sudden, he'd seen a 30% improvement from barely under 1 minute, so let's call it 60 seconds to 45. Unbelievable, just from visualizing who he would be in that future moment, and he became that in the present moment. So I'm big on it. Now, I think a lot has been written about this. The study was from 1992, so we've had, you know, like a quarter of a lifetime since then. And so there is much evidence to support this. But should you be interested in this, I would start to have a look at it. You know, visualization, mental rehearsal. There is no substitute for tactile, real, embodied, lived experience, right? To take action and allow experience to seep into your bones, right? Mastery comes from that. But I would offer you a bridge to mastery, which is embodying and starting to take on beliefs, and not just the thoughts, but the very feelings of what it would be like to be the person that you want to be. It will change you now, right? Starting to set your mind on what is possible, creates the very possibility in you now. And given the right opportunity, you will respond. Right? You will be different now based on truly believing and immersing in who you could be. Cool stuff. I love it. I hope it's helped. And I'm going to keep going because, boy, the mind is an incredibly powerful gift to each of us. So blessings to you. Have a lovely time and yeah, see you soon. Bye. Thanks so much for listening and sharing this space with me. I really, really hope this has served you well and it continues to do so for years to come. I love helping others, so if you would like to experience the power of creating together, please reach out to me. I'm here to help. And if you want to be on the podcast and leave a legacy, check out the contact details on my website, lyndenrochford.com, or you can find me on Facebook. I'd love to hear your story before I go. Wishing you so much love from the inside out. I'll see you soon.